Hello and welcome, ladies. It's that time again. Hello, Katrina. Do you want to unmute yourself and say hello?
Hey.
You were on the last Zoom meeting. It was wonderful to meet you. How have you been?
Yes,
How's your week been?
it's been fantastic. Kind of relaxing. I haven't done
You
too
had some
much.
salt bath after our call.
I
You
did.
were
Did I do it? I think I did it the next day because I think I just got tired.
beautiful. Darling, what's been your big takeaway this week? Anything to share? Is there anything
Mm,
or anything that you would like me to help you with? I just thought we'd have a little chat before everyone joined us.
Um, I've been enjoying learning the Maya abdominal massage,
Yeah.
like self-massage part of it. The takeaway for me is that it's doing way more for me than like fixing alignment. Like I feel like it's really working on like emotional release and stuff.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah, and I've been doing it if I because I have been working to increase my sleep, like the number of hours I sleep, because I wake up like all hours of the morning. I fall asleep fine. It's hard for me to stay asleep. And so if I get up too early, I'll just do the massage and the castor oil pack and go back to sleep like a baby.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
Isn't that
yeah,
amazing? You're using it as
yeah.
medicine. And it
Yes.
is. It really is medicine for the soul. So you're waking up what time? Do you know what time you're waking up? Or it's just
Um, it's random. I mean, for years, I worked shift work in a
okay.
hospital, and it was crazy shift work. It was like 7 days straight overnight. And then I had 7 days off, and I would flip back to sleeping normally.
Yeah.
And I did that for years. And so ever since then, like my
Circadian.
circadian rhythm has been off. But I've worked hard to get it back, but it's like my body only wants to sleep for like 4 hour spurts. So if I go to
Okay.
bed at like 9, I'm up at like 2. And if I go to bed at 10, then if I go to bed late, I still get up at like 4 or 5. And and I'm out lately, I've just been like, okay, if I get up, try to go back to sleep.
Well, I think I'm a big fan of if you do wake up, just get up and maybe do, legs up the wall, Viparita Karani legs up the wall. And it just
Mhm.
brings that venous blood return back to the heart, calms your nervous system. It's, because, and, as women, we tend to ruminate in the mind at that time of the day.
Yeah, yeah, that's what happens. As soon as I get up, my mind is like, doo
Yeah.
doo doo doo.
So what we want you to do is put a little eye pillow over your
Mhm.
eyes. Now, even if it's like, I don't mind if you don't have a weighted eye pillow, but use something like a hand towel and you can
Mhm.
just roll it, if you're just with your toddlers, you can use a hand towel that you use to wash them in the bath, put that over your eyes and just like allow the eyes to surrender into the socket.
Mhm.
Like I often think, we're always looking too far into the future as women. We're forward projectors. And, when you've got the eye pillow, it lets the eyes recede into the eye socket. And I remember when I first started yoga, that was one of the things that got me so anchored into the present. So surrender the eyes, put something weighted. Sometimes you can even put a little weight over yin tongue. If your husband does
Okay.
weights like my husband does, then you've got a little 2 kilo round weight that you can just put with
Okay.
a little traveler if you're doing bodybuilding, a little traveler
Okay.
on your third eye.
Right
And
here.
it's just
Got it.
that compression there, because this
Mhm.
point in Chinese medicine relates to the
Mhm.
heart. So if we're surrendering
Mm.
the eyes and then a nice little bit of weight there on the forehead, it's just beautiful.
Okay.
Give that a go.
I'm gonna try that. I'm
All
gonna
right.
try that.
Renata, do you want to say hello? Meet yourself. Welcome, my beauty.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
here.
My two
I'm
favorite.
doing my moxa stick.
There we go. That's awesome. Can you share
Yes.
with the people that are going to be watching this recording? Can you share what you're doing with the moxa and where you're doing it and for what purpose?
Um, sure. Um, can I share what I'm doing with the moxa? So, moxa stick is like a cigar. You light it. I use a candle. I think it's a cousin from the cannabis family. But anyways, it's really hot. I do have a scar from from burning myself. And you go clockwise, and you warm up an acupressure point or acupuncture point, and that's helps to uh, give it more chi in the area. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
And anyways, so you go like that, and then I'm doing kidney 3, which is on my ankle, near my ankle bone, and then kidney 7, which is just above my ankle bone, and then also spleen 6, which is like directly north of my ankle bone. So it's just in that area. And then I got stomach 36, which is outside my knee, and then doing that. And then later I'll do the foot soaks. And then I taught my husband, actually, through the help of my local acupuncturist, we found the spots on my back. So Greg is my husband. He's been watching me doing the moxa. So I said, "Do you know how to do the moxa? Because you're gonna do this on my back tonight." He says, "Yes." So that's the game plan. So right now it's 8 o'clock, and I'm winding down. And I thought it's time for my moxa, but I thought to join you tonight. So
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Doa, do you want to unmute yourself and turn on your camera? Say hello. It's a really small meeting. You're amongst a family here. So please come out and say hi to us. Come and share. Come and share your love. Even say hello. Feel free to turn your camera on. Maybe not. Well, let's get started. Let's get started, ladies. So welcome again. Today, I'm going to be talking about enhancing your egg quality for a successful pregnancy. It seems to be the hot word. I think with women, we tend to just focus so much just on the egg quality that it can almost give us this fear. It can really affect our mindset. So before I get started, I want you to know that there is a Q&A at the end. So stick around and ask me your questions. Don't put your questions in the chat. Please unmute yourself and just talk to me directly. So then you're getting a mini one-on-one consult. Put on your camera and let's talk face to face. I really encourage you to do that. And don't be shy. Get used to having a little dialogue with me, because sometimes the questions you ask help everybody. Like, everybody's probably having that secret little question, and then it gets asked in a Zoom meeting, and then we all learn. We all learn from the questions. And if I don't know, then I'll do the research and I'll get back to you personally. Sometimes I'll even drop it below the video if it's in YouTube or if it's in the groups. All right, so let's talk about our eggs. All right, let's talk about our eggs. Unlike men, whose sperm is produced every 74 to 90 days, women are born with 1 to 2 million eggs. 1 to 2 million eggs, out of which 300 to 500 will be ovulated during your lifetime. So by the time we enter menarche, which is when we start getting our periods, that's the beginning of when we get them, we have around 500,000 eggs. 500,000. Just think of that for a moment. And then by the time we reach perimenopause, we've got about 10,000 left. Women in menopause, they still have an egg reserve. Now, I think, this running out of eggs belief, we need to let go of the running out of eggs belief narrative. It needs to change, because it's been instilled through IVF and through doctors and big pharma to just that there's only one way to do this. And it's too much focus on the egg quality. So what you need to know is that it's not just about your eggs, all right? And that we never run out of eggs. We never run out of eggs. Isn't that interesting? I'm saying it loud because I want to scream it from the rooftops. I want you to scream it from the rooftops, because what you need to know about this primordial pool of eggs, it's like a pond, okay? It's a pond and it's a primordial pool. They don't undergo any change or deterioration. Interesting, isn't it? They don't undergo any deterioration, or they don't get weak, they don't get old. So you don't get old eggs, you don't get deteriorated eggs. It's only when they start circulating in the ovaries' response to the internal environment. So what's your environment? That's the inner result of how we relate to the external environment. Isn't that interesting? I think it's really interesting. And that's what I want you to learn from today. That's the most important thing, is that you never run out of eggs and they don't deteriorate. They don't decay, they're not old, and it's not too late. So what we need to know is what's that environment affected by? So, okay, yes, age is one thing, all right? That's one determining factor. It's not the only thing, all right? It's not the only determining factor. So our egg quality can be affected by the number one thing that affects your egg quality is your stress. And you know, the world that we're living in now with inflation and politics and that everyone, there's this divide. It's so divisive, this world we live in. It's very stressful. So stress is the number one cause of, you know, affecting our quality of our eggs. So we need to address the stress. We need to look at the narratives. We need to change the language, and we need to look at ways that we can address the stress through mindfulness, through meditation, through being in the present moment. Be here and be now. So that's the number one thing. Then there are other factors, and I'm going to go through the whole list of them. So then you just know that it's not just about your eggs. It's about the environmental toxins. We did a lovely live stream on that, the endocrine disrupting chemicals. We call them EDCs. We've also got oxidative damage. Now that comes from stress, because stress can also be not just physical, but it can be emotional. So we've got to look at oxidative damage. We've got to look at your diet. We've got to look at inflammation. Where is it coming from? Then it's like, what are your bloods showing me? Is there low ferritin? Do you have anemia? Is there iron deficiency? So the blood is the mother of qi in Chinese medicine. And if you look at what the concept of blood, it's the mother of all things. We need blood for the lining. We need blood to grow healthy embryos. All right, so there can be other factors at play: immunological issues, genetic problems, drug abuse. We can take it into consideration. You know, alcohol is a drug. All right, there can be smoking. There can be all types of medications that you don't even know that are affecting your egg quality. I had one patient, you know, she just started working with me, and she had no idea that she has her mental health issues. She had no idea that some of her medications, and we went through her medication list, caused genetic problems and birth defects in the first trimester. She was mortified that she's been trying for 11 years. And I said, well, do your doctors not go through this with you? The side effects. You need to know the side effects of the drugs you're taking. We've got hormonal imbalances like PCOS. We've also got coexisting health issues. You know, you could have autoimmune, hypothyroid, Hashimoto's. Then there could be endometriosis or even a celiac issue. All right, that's gluten intolerance. Obesity. So you can be overweight or you can be anorexic, you can be underweight. And then you could be going through cancer treatment. So when we look at it like that in totality, the entire system must be addressed to improve the functioning of your ovaries. But the beauty is, and this is what I love about Chinese medicine, we work holistically. We work on all those levels and layers. So I use the analogy of peeling the onion. You know, often we'll start, you may have a genetic problem, you may have an autoimmune problem, peel off the layer, and then comes in the next issue. And so it's an unraveling process. So understand what you need to know. The biggest takeaway is that it takes 90 days to improve your egg quality. And doctors that are telling you that it can't be done, I am here to tell you that it can, because I work with women over 40 and I see women over 40 having better egg quality than women that are in their 30s. Because women in their 30s and their early 20s, they're often in the party mode and they're drinking the wine and, you know, they're in the disco and, you know, I'm too much sugar, fast food, you know. When we're in our 40s, we're serious, all right? We're serious. We haven't got a lot of time. Time is precious. So I find the women in their 40s actually have better quality because they do the work. So just know that it takes 90 days to improve your egg quality. What that means is that the choices that you make today will not impact, you won't see the impact of it for another 3 months. So start today. Today is the day. And there's never a good day to start. It's always the day that it is, right here, right now. So let's get started from today, moving forward. So from today, in 90 days, you'll see the benefit. The first thing I work on when I'm working with equality, I actually don't use that terminology. It's interesting. One of my patients just before in a coaching call, she said to me, you never mention equality because they're primordial follicles. They're perfect as they are. It's the environment that I work with. So I actually don't mention equality because the narrative is so negative that I need to reframe the psychology, because thoughts are seeds we plant in the soil of our bodies. Just think about that. Thoughts are seeds we plant in the seed of our bodies. So what are you planting in your bodies? All right, so let's look at food and nutrition. This should be your primary medicine to improve your equality, because you're in control of it. I can't always be there with you. So I need you to look at food and nutrition for your eggs. All right. And we need food and nutrition for healthy eggs. Okay. So when we're optimizing food, I want you to think about your mitochondria. So we're going to do a little bit of a deviation into a bit of science, and your diet and your nutrition is going to support your ovary health, and they're going to address the mitochondria. Now, these are the power plants of the cell that turn the food into the energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So it's ATP for short. Otherwise, you get tongue twisted like I do. So just think ATP. It's your energy house, your mitochondria. It's all about the mitochondria. So what are you feeding the mitochondria? All right. So let's look at what the mitochondria health, and so they go hand in hand with the ovaries, because the ovaries have the highest concentration of mitochondria. I didn't know that until I started studying fertility and specializing. They have more, your ovaries have more mitochondria than your brain, your heart, and even your skeletal muscle. So your ovaries, they require a ton, think of a ton of mitochondria to function efficiently and to repair the DNA damage that gets done. All right, so we can repair it. We can actually repair it. So this is why most evidence-based supplements for improving fertility rates target and optimize mitochondria function. All right, so we want to feed your mitochondria with a steady stream of nutrient-rich foods that give them fuel, and they help maintain the healthy ovary function. So thereby improving your chances of getting pregnant. So let's break it down. I always like to break it down really simple. What do we need to feed the mitochondria? Our macros: protein, carbs, fats. Protein, carbs, fats. Yeah, they're the three macros. 30% protein. All right, we want 30% of your carbs and 40% fat. It's a rough breakdown. Don't get too heady on it. Like, I want you to just use a little bit more flexibility with how you're eating. So intuitively, look at your plate and go, all right, okay, let's look at my plate. Protein serving, there it is. Carbs, and it can be carbohydrate-rich veggies. And then where's the fat? Simple, isn't that simple? That's how you need to be thinking when you're eating at home. So let's look at your protein sources. So protein-rich foods provide amino acids. They're required for your mitochondria. They protect the mitochondria. And we need about 80 grams of protein daily. I'd actually like about 30 grams per sitting, right? But let's just look at it in terms of, well, what's 80 grams? Well, it's roughly about a chicken thigh or a chicken fillet, or, like my palm size, thereabouts. Okay, about that, 80 grams. So if you think about protein, it's got, protein has carnitine, and that helps move fatty acids across the mitochondrial membrane where they can be used as a fuel source. So the best protein sources for fertility: meat, fish, nuts, seeds, your beans, your legumes, and then we've got eggs. I'm trying to keep it basic and simple because my aim is to get to the Q&A to help you. Then we've got the carbohydrates and the non-starchy vegetables. Again, 30% on the plate. made of things like, so what are my favorites? I love buckwheat. Buckwheat is great for the liver blood. It's great for the lining. All right. So buckwheat noodles, often known as soba noodles, but we've got amaranth rice. So you can have white rice, brown rice, basmati, jasmine rice, make it wild if you can, bring it on. Oats, gluten-free pasta, rice noodles. We've got sweet potato noodles and konjac noodles. Now that's root vegetables native to China. I love the konjac noodles and they're really low GI. So give them a go. We've got quinoa. Quinoa I love because it's carbohydrate rich, but it's also protein. So quinoa is king. I love it because it's warming on the womb. Chickpeas, lentils, beans. So there's a lot of crossover with a lot of these foods, but I'm just mentioning this in the category of carbs. So your beans are full of carbohydrates, but it's a protein source as well. And then we've got all your cruciferous veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, okay, Brussels sprouts, what else? Seaweed, zucchini. I want to just mention about kale. They provide a ton. Remember, I was talking about a ton. Sorry to get so extroverted there, but kale is, I call this, kale is king as well because it's got a ton of sulfur and it protects the mitochondria and it improves glutathione. And it's also a great source of B vitamins. Okay, so I love just, if I'm literally going to be cooking in the kitchen, for breakfast, I will saute some kale or I'll lightly steam it, and then I might drizzle some avocado oil. I'll add some sea salt, some lemon juice to bring out the vitamin C. Honestly, it's unreal for your mitochondria. Cabbage. This is another one that I love. It's in the carbohydrate category. It's very carby, but it's full of sulforaphane, helps prevent ovarian inflammation. All right, it's got the indole 3 methane. Okay, so this the I3C content. So it just helps remove estrogen. Those, estrogen needs to be recycled out of the body. When you've had cabbage, it makes you might have a pop off. It makes you flatulence. So cabbage moves things. All right, so don't be afraid of cabbage because it's moving things out. We need those estrogens to be metabolized and then out of the body. So cabbage helps us do that and prevents inflammation on the ovaries. Then garlic. This is another one. I love garlic. It's another amazing antioxidant-rich gut healing superfood. Garlic contains a ton of sulfur and it's great for the ovary health. And it's like a natural antimicrobial. So it's great on the gut. Feeds the good bacteria, your estrobolome. They're the special bacteria in the gut that metabolize the estrogen. So we need a lot of garlic. Don't get minced garlic. Crush it fresh. Everything's got to be oxidized fresh. Don't get that stuff that's in the supermarkets in a jar. No, get the bulbs of garlic, crush it, and because you'll find if it oxidizes, it ferments and then it's toxic. All right. So just eat things the right way. Then our third macronutrient, fats, 40% fats. We love it. Fats are ideal. They're the ideal fuel, ideal fuel for your mitochondria. Also, ideal fuel for your hormones. They also provide the anti-inflammatory support and they provide the protective membrane surrounding the mitochondria. All right, so we need fats. About 2 to 3 servings of these following foods will honestly help your ovary health and help your energy metabolism. So it's satiating. So what that means is that when you have fats, you don't get hungry, right? So you want to have your fat content with your meals. So some walnuts, I love them. They're full of iron, selenium, calcium, zinc, vitamin E, B vitamins. Walnuts are great. They're really a great little snack you can have with your hubby, and you can have a handful a day. Like they're great for men and sperm too, great for motility, morphology and the oxidative damage with the sperm. But for your eggs, it's great fat for the mitochondria. All right, almonds, my favorite fertility nut. Almonds are high in potassium and calcium, both of which play a role in fertilization, and they're great for sperm and eggs. All right, good fats again. Sunflower seeds, extra virgin olive oil, pumpkin seeds, So, you know, I get a lot of my patients, we're all in seed rotation. Anyone that's worked with me, we do the seed rotation. So, you know, have your, you know, your flax seeds and your pumpkin seeds, your sunflower seeds, your sesame seeds. This is part of your seed rotation. Seed cycling is another way of putting it, but these are all good fats and they're all key nutrients for your mitochondria health. Avocado, don't you love avocados? They look like a uterus. All right, so have half an avocado a day. It's a wonderful source of healthy fats and great to have with breakfast and meeting your healthy fat requirements. So it'll keep you full all morning long. Like for me, I get really hungry in the early parts of the day. That's just me. My work is done in the early morning, like early morning to, you know, just after lunch, you know, because of the time zone changes. So, you know, I get really hungry. Avocado is so good for hunger. Then we're going to look at some antioxidants. All right, there's 2 specific antioxidants that are especially beneficial when it comes to your ovarian health. Okay, we're talking about alpha lipoic acid, ALA, and coenzyme Q10, CoQ10. So these fertility powerhouses support energy production, they support your mitochondria, and they improve mitochondrial biogenesis. So we want to think of biogenesis is the process of renewal. It's the process of growth of the mitochondria cells. And so you can see we need lots of support for this word that's coming through. Mitochondria, mitochondria, mitochondria. All right, so what is the food source of ALA and CoQ10? It's your flax seeds, it's your pumpkin seeds. That's part of your seed cycling in the follicular phase. That's from day 1 of your cycle until the mid-cycle. And then when you ovulate, we change over to the sesame seeds and sunflower seeds. But your flax seeds and your pumpkin seeds contain high levels of ALA and CoQ10. It's great to look at it from a food source because food is medicine. Let food be thy medicine. Hippocrates was so wise when he said that. And I use that all the time. I'm always saying that. I'm always repeating these incredible quotes that have been around for thousands of years. Okay. Glutathione is another thing that we need. This is the main antioxidant and a must have for healthy ovaries and healthy eggs, because it can improve egg quality and it protects your mitochondria. So what contains glutathione? All your dark leafy greens. So especially spinach contains high amounts, and also it contains vitamin B6, B12, folate. So all leafy greens are in. So think of them: collard greens, rainbow chard, you know, dandelion, you know, you name them. And if I've forgotten some, you know, just remind me. But yeah, dark greens are a really high source of, you know, glutathione. Then we've got sulfur-rich vegetables. So this is your onion, cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage. They all contain a ton of sulfur. We want them. They help improve the mitochondrial ATP production. So they also have they're rich in the sulforaphane. I love sulforaphane because it's, you know, rich in DIM. They help prevent inflammation. They help remove those toxic estrogens that can get recycled back in the body. We need glutathione. It's the main master antioxidant. Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are high in selenium. They play an important role in helping the body produce and recycle glutathione. And the best source of selenium comes from your Brazil nuts. So women, you know, 3 to 4 Brazil nuts, up to 6, no more than that. And that'll be around, you know, your 400 microgram servings that we need. You're also getting it in, often you're doing your PreConception multivitamin, so you can get that. And then we've got turmeric, all right? Turmeric is a high source. Can you please unmute yourself, Sharon? Shannon, do you mind unmuting? Oh, I'll let me unmute you. There we go. A little distracting when I'm talking. All right, just try and unmute yourself when I'm talking because it distracts my train of thought. Curcumin. So turmeric, you can have your turmeric lattes, your turmeric on coconut, but it's very awesome because it's anti-inflammatory, it's a wonderful antioxidant, and it literally protects your mitochondria, and it helps increase the glutathione levels. So that's just a list of the foods we want to be thinking about, all right, because food is medicine. I'm going to go over a checklist of tests for egg quality, and I'm going to debunk quite a few of them. So just hear me out. We're going to talk, first of all, the AMH test, the anti-Mullerian hormone test. We're going to talk about that plus the antral follicle count, the AFC. All right, now these two tests, I think, are the most two misleading tests evaluating egg quality, and they absolutely destroy a woman's fertile mindset. They destroy her heart, because we go in for these tests, we get, and I'm working with women that have AMH and antral follicle counts very low, and they're getting pregnant all the time, sometimes with counts of 0. All right. So it's not a measure of your egg quality. What they're a measure of, and let me explain this, because it's a measure of when you're doing IVF. It's a routine test. So if you're trying to get pregnant naturally, it means nothing. It's only if you're considering doing IVF. They want to know what the count is, because then it determines how strong the medications they give you. It's a way of predicting how you will respond to the ovulation stimulating drugs. That's it, period. Isn't that great to know? So you can throw these numbers away. It doesn't mean that you have poor egg quality. It's not a measure of egg quality. In fact, and this is a fact, this is not just an opinion, there's no measure for egg quality. There's not. Even if we do retrieval and evaluation during IVF, okay? Now you can visually see them under the microscope, the appearance, they'll grade them and all this sort of stuff. But I've seen badly graded eggs become healthy embryos and vice versa. All right. So then we've got genetic testing of embryos, the PGT-A testing, the pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidy. All right. Now, this test is performed on embryos created through IVF to evaluate them for the correct number of chromosomes. What you need to understand is that mosaic embryos, they get discarded because they don't contain they have abnormal cells. Now, what happens in nature is that things auto-correct. And so there's a very big debate going on that we are discarding mosaic embryos. And these are healthy humans that we're discarding, that they become, right? So we're throwing out the mosaics that auto-correct. All right. So it's really a testy conversation. All right. Genetic testing. Okay. So there's no test really for equality. There's none. Okay. You can look at your FSH test. This test, it can measure. It's on your 3rd day of your menstrual cycle. Now, higher levels can indicate that there's reduced, ovarian reserve, that the environment's hot. It's overstimulated. Okay. So, when I start working with patients, I've had FSH of up around 30, bring it down below 10, and then women get pregnant. So I actually don't even consider the FSH test as a measure of your egg quality, because I can actually work with it with acupuncture, which I love for getting the FSH down. Okay. FSH can come down with acupuncture and your Chinese herbal medicine. And also if you've got a steady stream of that nutrient supply with your food. And then we're going to talk about some of these supplements that we can take. One test that I do think is important, and it's not a measure of egg quality, but it's the MTHFR mutation, right? Now, this test is pretty important because over 50% of the population have this gene mutation. What this affects is your ability to create healthy levels of active folate. And we need good levels of activated or active folate or activated folate in your supplements, but we need it for creating healthy DNA. We need it for you and your child. We need it for your, your blood and, building blood. And, there's so many, and for birth defects. All right. So test your MTHFR gene if you haven't. It's one of those markers that sometimes it's flying under the radar. And, folate, we need it. We need it for homocysteine. It lowers homocysteine. If it's climbing too high, then which can be related to blood clots. And so this can be a result of why we have miscarriages late in pregnancy. So I'm kind of deviating off path here a little bit, but we need to kind of understand big picture when we're working with egg quality. But folate, when I'm working with egg quality, improving egg quality and getting you ready for pregnancy, I'm always going to look at your folate levels, your red cell folate. I'm going to test your MTHFR gene mutation, see if you come up with a marker there. And, you know, and if you do, that's fine, because we just want to make sure that you've got activated folate in your supplements, okay? But if we look at, while we're talking about folate, let's look at some of the natural folates in foods, because remember, food and nutrition is the big pillar, because you're in control of it. So duck liver, you know, beef liver, very high amounts of folate, okay? Mung beans, there's, you know, if we look at 100 grams per serving of food, so mung beans will have 625 micrograms of folate in a 100-gram serving. Okay, chickpeas, leeks, what else? Again, sunflower seeds, capsicums, we call them bell peppers in the US, spinach, asparagus, mustard greens, all the leafy greens, collard greens, black beans, egg yolk. You know, Chinese medicine, we don't just eat the egg whites. We have it all because it's rich in the choline, but it's the folate. Kidney beans, romaine lettuce, cos lettuce, quinoa. All right, these are all your folate-rich foods, and we need this as a steady supply to your eggs, all right, and your mitochondria. When we're looking at egg quality from a Chinese medicine perspective, all right, we're seeing it really as a pathogenesis of kidney deficiency. We're looking at it as maybe some blood stagnation. There's always going to be dysfunction in the liver. There's usually going to be some heart involvement and spleen. All right. So our treatment principle would be to, you know, invigorate the kidneys, fill up the vital essence, tonify the blood, and regulate menstruation. That's how I would work when I'm prepping you in that 90 days. Remember, it's the 90 days that we can improve things. All right. So some of the formulas, I'm just going to rattle a few of them off. I might, you know, if I'm working with, you know, kidney yin deficiency, Zolgwe 1. This is when we've got yin deficiency leading to insufficient follicular development, and it improves the nourishment of the eggs to enhance the fertility. We've got Yogui 1. Now, this replenishes the kidney yang in Chinese medicine, and it's often prescribed in cases of yang deficiency, which affects the warmth of the womb and the energy necessary. So it's the energy necessary for proper egg development and maturation. Then we've got some other formulas, Guishao Di Huangwan, Yue Di Huangwan, and the famous Xiao Tai 1. I call it the fetus longevity pill. It's traditionally used to prevent miscarriage, but we'll often use this formula to stabilize the kidneys and improve the egg quality, and by nourishing the kidney and securing the kidney essence. Bushan Guchong 1, this is another one. It's actually a modern modification of Xiao Tai 1, and it's considered, you know, great for egg quality, but it works on the jing and the kidneys. I use it a lot. In terms of acupuncture points, we've got the beautiful Renata. She's shared her moxa with us. So she's doing the kidney 3. So kidney 3, just beside the Achilles tendon, midway between the medial malleolus and the Achilles tendon. Halfway is kidney 3. Spleen 6 is 4 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, from the ankle bone up the medial side on where the tibia meets the skin. Stomach 36 is just below the patella, 4 finger breadths down, 1 finger breadth from the tibial tuberosity. Stomach 36. Amazing. So you can hammer this point 36 times. Ren 4, which is below the navel. I'll often rub the hands, and we can use our hands as magic, and we can use our magic hands down below the belly on the womb space. And then we're targeting those beautiful points, Ren 4, Ren 6, Zigong. So put your hands, it's like basically the palm of the hand on the ovaries, and it's supporting the ovary function. And Zigong in Chinese medicine, it's a beautiful metaphor. It means the palace for the child. I love this metaphor. Chinese medicine's full of beautiful metaphors. So rub your hands on your belly, on the womb space, connect the heart to the palace, and it's beautiful. All right, we've got Do 20. I find this point good for calming, and then Shenting. All right, these are points. Now, they are to lift and to hold pregnancies, but I'm just adding them in because we all need to calm our mind and to support pregnancy, because that's where we're moving. When we enhance the egg quality, we're going to be supporting implantation, and Bakui Do 20 is the magical point to secure your embryos in place. I'm going to finish now with some supplements. Just quickly, we're going to go over some supplements I would recommend Folate's always going to be number one, right? It's in your preconception multis, but you know, it's going to be number one. Then I've mentioned the other antioxidants, you know, for the mitochondria, ALA, CoQ10. We want those. All your B vitamins are in. Zinc, because it improves egg quality. It improves your hormones, your gut. Selenium, all right, we've mentioned that with the Brazil nuts. It's great for egg production. Vitamin D, it improves the AMH, the egg quality, the insulin resistance, and IVF outcomes. So there's a study in 2018 that, you know, a vitamin D deficiency can cause irregular menstrual cycles. So what I want you to know is that, you know, often if we're coming off a winter, can you, you know, get some sunlight? Direct sun is always best, or soul gazing into the sun. But, you know, 5,000 IU up to 10,000. The maximum dose is 50,000 IU. But, you know, if someone's got COVID, I will get them to be up, you know, doing doses of 20,000 IU. But what I love about vitamin D is that it helps the body create the sex hormones that affect ovulation and your hormonal balance. But if we're thinking about vitamin D in terms of foods, can be found in eggs, in fatty fish, in cod liver oil, all right? Vitamin E, I love it because it reduces that oxidative stress. It increases that follicular blood supply, all right, to the eggs, and it's essential for high quality eggs. It's also, I love it for the lining. It's my number one supplement for the lining because it lengthens the luteal phase, all right? So it promotes that cellular growth. It decreases the risk of miscarriage. And vitamin E is found in your seed cycling. So that's why we have your sunflower seeds, right, in your seed cycling. It's found in almonds, spinach, papaya, and dark leafy greens. We've got vitamin C, NAC, N-acetylcysteine. Now, this antioxidant, it improves glutathione levels and prevents damage to the DNA of the eggs. I love NAC because it supports egg quality. It also helps women that are having ovulation disorders, all right? So if you've got PCOS or you're ovulating late in your cycle, it also improves the sperm, so volume, motility, viscosity of the sperm. So get hubby on board with the NAC, all right? But I had one of my patients say, I was worried that it was going to dry up my mucus, and I'm going to just cover this now because, you know, we think about NAC, it dries out the mucus in the lungs and it reduces that viscosity. It helps your lung function, but it actually improves the viscosity with your cervical mucus. So don't be afraid of it working on drying the lung function, but it actually improves it down there where we need it. So it improves it in fertility. Omega-3s, glutathione, you could take that, but I always find NAC is a precursor to glutathione, so you don't really need to supplement. I'd rather you focus on your glutathione foods. Melatonin, it's an antioxidant that improves, you know, oxidative damage. It improves your quality. Iodine's another one. This powers life, digestion, immunity, fluid metabolism, but your fertility, your brain health, your cell death. And it's concentrated in the ovaries. So the ovaries, the thyroid, the breasts. Now, a lot of us are iodine deficient, and you'll see that it's essential for the synthesis of your thyroid hormones, your T4, your thyroxine, and your triiodothyronine, your T3. So think of your iodine, right? We can do some patch testing. You can patch test it on your skin and see, paint it on with the Lugal solution. I've been doing that with a lot of my patients because it's fabulous. You know, I had one patient, she was so iodine deficient, it was dry, it was actually evaporating on her skin. And we painted iodine on her belly, all right, all around her belly, below the boobs, and so under the breasts and on the ovaries. So she'd move the patches around daily. We did that until 36 weeks. She's got now got a beautiful little baby girl, and she had her baby in her early 40s, 42, 43. From memory. But iodine deficiency can lead to menstrual irregularities, fibroids, cysts, okay, infertility, early menopause, and ovarian diseases. So you can see that we need a steady supply of iodine for egg quality. It's also vital for men, and including the prostate. Two last things, DHEA. Sometimes, well, I'm always test that first before supplementing, but you know, it's a precursor to estrogen and testosterone. And there has been cases where I've used DHEA. It has improved the egg quality. It does tend to decline as we age, but it just needs to be tested. because, and it needs to be tested every 2 to 3 months because the levels can bump up pretty quickly. So we really want to make sure that you're monitored taking DHEA. You don't just do it on your own. Last thing, bone broth. Everyone that has worked with me will know that bone broth is essential for egg quality. I call this the fertility elixir. It's the elixir of life. It's loaded with every single amino acid. It's got every mineral along with collagen, fat, protein, all the building blocks to create healthy embryos. So it can support your whole journey from preconception in that 90 days, right? Pregnancy and postpartum. In the clinic, it's one of my foundational protocols to get your body back on track. And I recommend that you have 1 cup a day. You can either the beef broth or the chicken broth, or you can buy them. All right. So if anyone wants the recipe, you can let me know. So thank you, gorgeous souls. Thank you, gorgeous ladies, for listening. Anyone that wants to unmute, feel free to have a chat with me, Katrina.
I was interested in learning more about the iodine patch testing. What exactly? I have some Lugo solution, and I'm like,
Okay, yeah.
what am I supposed to do with
All
it?
right, let's start today. Give it a go. What we just want a cotton tip. You can paint it.
Okay.
Yeah, a cotton tip. You want to just dip it in the Lugal solution, and we patch test. I would just, you can do it under the breast. 3 by 3 inch. Okay,
Mhm.
so quite a big box. Do 2. Do it on the breast. Do it or on the ovaries. Maybe go down on the ovaries because your ovaries need a ton of it. And
Okay.
what we want to do with this is a great question. I love this question. So what you want to do is paint a little square or a circle. I don't mind what geometrical shape you want to paint. You be the
I'll
artist.
make a heart.
Make a heart. Make hearts. Let's paint hearts on our ovaries. I love that. Let's paint hearts. All right. And what we want to do is do them when you can observe the patch. So do it in the morning where you've got time to look at it. Like on the hour, we want to see if it's fading. Ideally, if you don't need iodine, then it will still be there 24 hours later.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this lady that I was speaking to about when I was talking about the lady that painted it on until she was 36 weeks, she was so depleted, she painted it on her ovaries. And anyway, the patch was gone within half an hour. It was gone.
Wow.
So I had her patch testing, and we did it twice a day. We did it morning and night. And every time she went to look back, it was always gone. It was evaporated off the skin.
Wow.
So, and she was really cold hands, cold feet, quite yang deficient, blood deficient. There was a lot going on. And she had, but anyway, I've actually got an Instagram photo of her baby. I'm holding her little baby. And it's so nice. It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's not everyone will need it, but because it's taken out of our food chain, we used to have it in breads and things. And it's also, it's our receptors. We don't have a lot of receptors for iodine anymore. We don't get enough iodine from the diet. So if you look at the Japanese, like it's linked to autism. Iodine deficiency is linked to autism, ADHD, and all these neurological issues that we're seeing. Nearly every second child that's born is on the spectrum. It's all coming from iodine deficiency. So it's also helps you early in pregnancy. So it makes sense to address the iodine now. So do some patch testing. Let me know how you go. And
I'm hoping I'm good because I'm
be
half
good.
Asian and I eat a lot
I
of
eat a lot
food.
of, like, okay, so my favorite sources of iodine is in, fish, it's in seaweed, I love feijoas.
What are feijoas?
Feijoas. Have you ever tasted one of those? Feijoa.
Feijoas.
Yeah, I don't know
I've
how.
never even heard of that.
Feijoa. Feijoa.
I,
Oh my goodness. You're going to love them. When they're ever in season here,
okay.
like we get them from New Zealand in Australia, but they are an exotic fruit, and they're exquisite. They're like mint. How do I describe them? They look like those green olives, but they're not a green olive. They're not an apple. They're like halfway. They're small. They look the size of an apricot. They're seeded, and they've got this taste which is just undeniable. It's an undeniable and it's an unforgettable taste.
I'm gonna have to look to see if we can have any of those here.
Feijoas. Anyway, So yeah, think of your food sources. See, sometimes I'll just have, if I'm doing some Japanese, I'll do a seaweed salad. Yeah.
Yeah, I love seaweed salad.
You look at the incidence of obesity and cancer and all that stuff. You know, how intelligent are Japanese people, you know?
Yeah,
But
that's
they
why I
have
started
such a
looking
massive,
towards that side of my culture. Like, I'm Okinawan to top that off, so they're like in the blue zone.
there we go. Hello. So tap into your culture, darling. And you
Yeah.
probably find that you're not depleted. But it's always good to test. Great
Yeah,
question.
for sure.
Great question.
Especially since I just have a bottle of Lugos. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Can you put it in which you're in my school group, aren't you, Katrina?
I am.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Why don't you paint up your love hearts, post them in the group, and I'll
Okay.
have a little dialogue, and then we can open up the forum in the school group, and we can talk about iodine patch testing, and we can share the love.
Sounds good.
Because other ladies, they might not have tried it, and they're going to go, "What's she doing with those lovely hearts?"
I'd never heard of it, iodine patching. I was like, wait, what is that? I need to ask questions.
Anyone else?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. If there are any more
Dr.
questions,
Fiona, I have
yeah,
a question. You
yeah.
talked about DNA damage, and I think I have a two-part question.
Mhm.
Can you reverse DNA damage? I don't think so, but I don't know. And then the chances of Down syndrome when you're in your 40s or other kinds of birth-related defects. And then how do we avoid that without doing IVF? If you know where my question is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first part of your question, if you look at epigenetics, you know, have you been are you privy to understand about Joe Dispenza? Have you read any of his books about changing the DNA? Okay, I want you, I want you to Google Joe Dispenza. He's my idol. I worship this man, and what he's doing worldwide, he's just insane. You know, we think we can't change our DNA. He has all the testing to show you that it can change. You can change it. You can change it. He's seeing miracles happen he's doing seminars in every country around the world. And basically, he's teaching you how to change the environment, because it's the environment that turns on the gene. Okay. It's the environment that loads the gene. And he gets you to think and wire your thoughts, and he gets you to change the environment. And then once that changes, it's like you become the effect. Like, it's insane. I've read all of his books. Jump on board, listen to him on YouTube, follow him, listen to him. He's just the most incredible genius. But he actually studies the brain, and then he has all the statistical. He does bloods on everyone that goes to his seminars, because he does the work. He does the work with massive groups, like hundreds of people, and they're booked out wherever he goes. He's booked out. My husband and I saw Joe Dispenza in Melbourne. It was like, you know, an auditorium of 10,000 people booked out for months and months and months. And he did about 5 of those. That was just a talk. But when you're actually doing his seminars, he does all the data. So he does the brain data, he does the bloods, and he shows you in the course of the week that people change. So the answer to the question is you can. It's possible. It's been proven. Ask Dr. Joe. What was the second part of your question? Sorry, I got distracted thinking about how much I love Joe Dispenza.
No, it's fine. Last night I had a flashing thought of Down syndrome. Like, how do we avoid Down syndrome or other kinds of, illnesses for the child in that, and I don't know. I always think of egg quality. Oh, your eggs are old. This is what we've been taught.
Yeah, I know. We got to change that. Of course. Well, let's do some iodine patch testing. Remember, it's the environment. Your eggs are perfect. It's the environment that they are maturing in. So what's the environment? What's the toxic load? Is there inflammation? Is there deficiency of iodine? Is there depletion of something? Are we missing something? And sometimes it can just be one missing link, which can determine the genetics of this embryo. So don't think of it as in, what if? Let's go into it. Let's lay the foundation. Remember what I said about thoughts are seeds we plant in the soil of our bodies. And the narrative needs to change. It's come from this fear-based mongering that's making you feel like you're too old, you're too late, they're old eggs. Where does this thought come from? Who put that thought in your mind? Can it be challenged? I challenge that thought, because the work that I do, and I remember I work with women like you every day, so I get to see the miracles happening all around me. You don't see it. Like I feel like I've got the best job in the world. I've got front row seats, but you don't see it. You just see, when you look on the internet, you've got to remember it's governed by artificial intelligence. It's governed by an algorithm. If you're looking for trisomy, you're going to find it. And then you're going to find it. It's going to retarget to you, trisomy, 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 because that's what the algorithm is doing. So we need to think, what are we going to search? We're going to look at, okay, we're going to look at the environment. We're going to look at Joe Dispenza. We're going to change the epigenetics and change the DNA. We're going to change the landscape. We're going to be the change that we want to see in the world and change the narrative for other women.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yay.
Thank you.
You should be like Wonder Woman. Yeah.
No, you are. They're great
All
questions.
right.
I love your questions. You're amazing. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Well, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for joining me. Always remember that I'm open to subject matters, anything that you would like me to talk about. You can drop them in the groups, because it gives me, like, I learn from what you want me to research and present. Okay. And then I can share it through the lens of Chinese medicine. I'm very integrative, and I will integrate Chinese medicine with Western medicine concepts. And I love to infuse science, because that's the world we live in. So thank you. Have a great Easter. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.